To make this next part easier to edit, I am going to stop the recording and restart it, because this part is going to be one that I will want kind of on its own. So there we go. Going on to Popola. NieR came back. He came home to see me. Yay! New diary entry.
What's up, Popola?
Oh, hi. I just got a strange letter in the mail.
Dearest Popola, I hope this letter finds you well. I am writing in hopes of bringing your attention to a certain dream issue of concern regarding recent events in Dream the Village. I was hoping I might be able to get your advice on the matter. Recently there have been reports of a certain evil dream, empty dream, cursed dream, evil dream, words, dream. Someone.
That is certainly one bizarre piece of writing.
Who's it from?
The mayor of a small village in the Forest of Myth. It's a wooded area up north.
The Forest of Myth?
They're usually a bright and cheerful group of people. Something like this is very out of character for them. I have a bad feeling about this.
I'll check it out.
You will? But...
Don't worry about it. I've got business there anyway.
Oh, well, all right. Thank you.
I think you're starting to understand a little bit about what's going to be happening here. It has nothing to do with dreams. What would make you think that? I'm gonna need water for this section. Okay. This is a really cool section. This is one of the most interesting sections of a video game, in my opinion, just because who would have thought of this? Like, it seems so out of place, but like perfectly in place because of a game like this. It's just, it really is like a really cool section of the game. I don't know why I like this section so much, but I do. So we're gonna get a Mr. Pigoo. Hello? There we go. And then we're gonna drift along. Woo! And we're gonna actually try not to drift just yet. And drift here. Hop! Boom! We gotta go over here. You can see the mist. This is the Forest of Myth. Dang it. I love the board drift. Okay. We're in the Forest of Myth now. A very cool looking area. Very, very cool looking. I like how pretty it looks compared to the original. Oh, it looks so good.
It sure is quiet here.
Such silence bodes ill. There's trouble on the way. I'm certain of it.
You know, a little optimism now and then wouldn't hurt, Vice.
Such cheek.
Okay, so we're gonna save before we do this section. Defense capsule. Spirit capsule. And a doodle weed.
Beware, beware. The words.
The words? What do you mean?
Contagious words. Those who dream.
Those who dream?
Hold a moment. There is a strange new sensation in my mind.
Weiss's voice rose in a quizzical way.
It is not quizzical.
What's going on?
The villager's body shuddered as he slowly opened his eyes.
Perhaps we should start by asking this man.
Who are you?
We heard something happened to this village, so we came to see if we could help.
The mayor stared at NieR and Weiss.
If you can speak to me, I must have caught you in my dream.
In your dream?
The mayor explained. In the past weeks, a mysterious disease called the Death Dream had spread across the Forest of Myth. Those who caught it were cursed to fall asleep and live forever within the world of their own dreams. The village mayor had determined the Death Dream was a spread from a person to person by spoken words, but before he could learn more, the disease took him as well. Weiss stared at the mayor, his mouth twitching slightly.
Now see here. Are you saying that we have been absorbed into your dream?
Well, yes. I think you have.
In other words, we've caught the Death Dream?
Before the mayor could confirm NieR's suspicion, Weiss exploded with rage.
Ridiculous. Preposterous. Completely unfathomable on every conceivable
This
level.
one's cool to watch.
I don't even recall falling
A
asleep.
little bit.
That's just how the death dream works.
Though polite, the mayor was clearly trying to brush aside the book's remarks.
My remarks are not to be brushed aside, fool.
The mayor twisted his mouth in an embarrassed grimace, then quickly changed the subject to who NieR had seen and they had discussed since coming to the village.
Something there must have caused you to enter my dream. A certain conversation, a specific word, something.
The screen is now black, by the way. We can no longer see the game. NieR and Weiss racked their brains but could find no easy solutions. There were simply too many words to consider, too much random chatter, too much meaningless conversation.
Grimoire Weiss does not engage in meaningless conversations.
The mere suggestion that Weiss chose his words carelessly seemed to sting his pride. I love that the monologue of the story of this area, they can physically see it. They understand the story, like, as it unfolds word by word, so they comment on it. It's so good.
It does not seem to sting my pride, you bloated gasbag of a narrator.
I love it so much. I love that they know.
It has demolished it utterly.
Irritated, Weiss looked skyward, as if searching for answers in the heavens.
I was doing no such thing. Just leave me alone already.
The anger created by his harsh words bled over to NieR like a contagion. Wait, said NieR suddenly. Did someone just say contagion? Yes, I believe so. What of it? Well, the villagers told us to watch out for contagious words, right? The mayor leaned forward with renewed interest, pushing as a startled Weiss aside in the process. He must have said something, right? Asked the mayor. Some specific combination of words. What was it? It was about dreaming, or something that dreams, or... Oh, what the hell was it? A sheep? Cried Weiss suddenly, blurting out the first thing that popped into his head. The others stared at him for a moment before slowly shaking their heads. After a few more minutes of thought, NieR's face suddenly lit up. I remember, he said. Those who dream. That's what he said, I'm sure of it. At this time, the mayor produced a thick sheaf of papers from his pocket. He flipped through them a few times before finally nodding his approval at NieR. That sounds right, he said, as a stray sheet of paper fluttered to the ground. My notes also mentioned something about that. I bet it was that last thing that you heard before you fell asleep. The mayor shook his head, his worn pencil stub tracing lines across a lone piece of paper. For the last month, I've done nothing but study the disease we call the Death Dream, he said. I mean, I'm the mayor, right? It's my job to protect the people from whatever comes along. But I never expected a couple of outsiders to start entering people's dreams. The mayor paused, a grimace crossing his face. I should probably be taking notes or something. Weiss immediately fired back. I applaud the force of will. It takes to research a disease in your dreams, he said. But perhaps we should bend your efforts to escaping this place instead of trying to understand it. The mayor's hand tightened around his pencil, snapping off the tip. I've tried to escape. From the very first moment I realized I was locked inside my own dream. I've been looking for a way out, but I don't think it exists. I mean, this is my dream, right? If there was an exit, I'd know about it. He paused for a moment, his unfocused eyes staring at nothing. My village was beautiful, he said to no one in particular, and it was filled with the most wonderful people you could ever hope to meet. But once this disease took hold, things changed. It's like someone took a sponge and soaked all of the color out of our lives. I just want us to be whole again. I want us to be free. And I won't stop trying until it happens. NieR nodded in agreement. Huh? Wait a second. I didn't nod. Look, if we can be any help, said NieR, just ask. Now hold on, I did not just say that. Silence, Christwise. The grimoire looked from NieR to the mayor and back again, his face filling with confidence. Grimoire's Weiss's face is always confident, thank you very much. Now see here, Mayor. You told us that nothing can exist in this dream without your knowing of it. But yet you seem surprised to see us when we first arrived, yes? The mayor slowly raised his head, realization dawning on his face. Oh my god, he said, you're right. I had no idea you were coming. The human imagination is a limitless engine, said Weiss, and dreams are the fuel. If you can imagine an exit, then it must be so. With your permission, we shall search it out. Thank you, said the mayor. I don't know how I can repay you. Payment is not required. We are as eager as you are to be done with this place. The mayor suddenly felt as if he could breathe again. He'd almost forgotten what it was like. Good luck, you two, he called at the departing forms of NieR and Weiss. We're all counting on you. As NieR slowly faded into the misty forest, the mayor was struck with a sense of deja vu. I saw this man once before, he thought, but where? NieR's mood darkened as he trudged through the forest. Hours earlier, when the beauty of the place was still a new thing, he'd been confident that they could get in, find the exit, and be home in time for dinner. But the deeper they went, the more the forest closed in around him. The mist made it difficult to see more than a foot in any direction, and moss-covered rocks seemed determined to twist his ankle. More than once, he'd been forced to steady himself on the rough bark of a tree, and his hands now left small trails of blood on everything he touched. Additionally, Weiss was proving to be a spectacularly poor traveling companion. Unhindered by either terrain or physical effort, he spent most of his time urging NieR to pick up the pace and grumbling about their slow progress. Finally, after Weiss muttered something about legless turtles being more adept at navigating the environment, NieR snapped. Okay, Weiss, cram it for a second, would you? You don't have to walk. NieR leaned against a tree and tried to stretch the knots from his back. How can this stupid forest be so big, he muttered to himself. The moments the words tumbled from his mouth, a cacophony of insects sprang to life. Every imaginable form of buzz, click, and hiss roared at the volume that rattled his teeth. NieR slapped his hands over his ears and screamed to be heard. Weiss, what's going on? NieR could see Weiss's mouth moving, but he might as well have been shouting in a tornado. The insects screamed, the forest howled, and then just as NieR's ears seemed ready to tear from his head and go running for cover, the sound diminished. Hesitantly, he moved the hand from his left ear and listened to the creatures of the woods. Zree, 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 zree. Shakakaka, shakakaka, shakakaka. Chicka-chee, chicka-chee, chicka-chee. Woo-woo-wooma, woo-woo-wooma. Shake, shake, seek, shake, 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 seek. As the insect symphony dimmed another decibel, NieR began to detect patterns in the sound. This isn't random, he thought. It's not just white noise. It's something else. The insects weren't just calling out. They were asking a question. 1 with it is lacking. 2 with it is ideal. 3 with it is dangerous. What is it? By my pages, is this a riddle? I guess so. I mean, it sort of feels forced, but maybe it's the key to getting out of this place. Then I leave it to you to answer. 1 with it is lacking. 2 with it is ideal. 3 with it is dangerous. What is it? The answer is a secret, I believe. I mean, a seesaw. 3 with people with a seesaw is pretty dangerous, right? Question mark? It's a secret, I'm pretty sure. 2 people who can hold a secret, but 3 people, it's a little bit too rough to spread around, right? Inwardly furious that Weiss left the task to him, NieR sighed and gave the only answer that made sense. It's a secret, right? The sound of the insect stopped as suddenly as it began. The forest undergrowth parted before NieR like a rippling wave opening a new path. These forest arthropods are making a road for us, said Weiss with a glee. Pleased at passing the test, NieR moved on to, with new intensity. The path offered his body relief from the undergrowth, but gave even greater cheer to his mind. As long as they were on a path, their journey had a purpose. I guess the forest has accepted us, huh? Said NieR after a bit. Weiss spun around to face his companion. Do not mistake the will of this forest for some happy pet you can suddenly befriend. We have no idea where this path leads. As Weiss finished speaking, the pair turned a corner and found themselves facing a clear forest spring. Smiling, NieR picked up a small rock and sent it skipping across the surface of the water. Good heavens, said Weiss. His surprise was understandable. Each time the rock struck the surface of the water, a musical note rang out. When the rock finally stopped and sank to the bottom of the spring, the ripples it left behind came together to form words. I entered through the window, but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? Absurdly easy, barked Weiss. Now answer it. NieR grit his teeth and tried not to reach out and strangle his companion. He's right after all, this one is pretty easy. I entered through the window, but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? Sunlight. Night it vanishes. It's sunlight. Sunlight. A plume of water suddenly burst from the spring. Sunlight filtered through the trees and reflected off the plume, creating a shimmering rainbow that spanned the entire horizon. In all my years, said Weiss softly, I have never seen such a sight. Perhaps I have misunderstood the intentions of this place. Hey, look, cried NieR, awaking Weiss from his daze. There's a house or something over there. Glancing in the direction of his friend's extended hand, Weiss saw a small cottage nestled among the trees. That's weird, isn't it, Weiss? I mean, who would build a house all the way out here? NieR walked over and pounded on the door. After a minute of solid banging, the door cracked open and a small man peered out. His body was cloaked from the neck to toe in a large black cape, while his face was obscured by mist. Began NieR, but before he could get any further, the cloaked man held up a hand and began speaking. I have 4 legs in the morning and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? This one's easy too. NieR tried to answer the cloaked man who he was, tried to ask the cloaked man who he was and what he was doing there, but he simply repeated the question. If we were to engage this man in conversation, said Weiss, it seems we must answer his riddle. Yeah, I suppose, said NieR. Well, at least it's an easy one. I have 4 legs in the morning, 2 at noon, but in the night with 3. What am I? You're a man. So you have 4 legs when you're a child or a baby. You have 2 when you're like a normal person walking around, and at 3 you have a cane. You know, you're old, so you're a man. The mist dissolved from the cloaked figure as he spoke a single word. Correct. With that, the man flung his garment aside, revealing his true identity. You're the mayor, cried NieR. The small man slowly shook his head. I am not the mayor you know. Now listen to my words. Long ago, I saw a version of you that was not yourself. Sorry? What's that mean? It will make sense in time. At present, I simply congratulate you on cracking the seal of the death dream. Now you must go to the person at the forest entrance. And with that, the man turned on his heel and slammed the door behind him. As NieR watched, mist seeped up from the ground and enveloped the cottage, erasing it from existence. When NieR and Weiss returned to the forest entrance, they found the mayor leaning against a tree. As soon as he caught sight of the duo, he sprang to his feet and scrambled over to them. Good gravy, he cried. You made it. You actually made it back. His left hand grasped NieR's and pumped it so fiercely it threatened to dislodge from the socket, while his right seized Weiss by the cover and swung him through the air. Gah, by the heavens, stop shaking me, fool. We have not even told you if we were successful or not. The mayor smiled broadly and shook his head. I'm just happy you're alive. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. NieR withdrew himself from the mayor's eager handshake with a slight smile. We broke the death dream seal, he said. At least I think we did. The mayor's face beamed as NieR filled him in on the details. When the tale was done, the 3 of them laid down on the forest ground and fell asleep. NieR cocked his head. Okay, hang on a second. This is crazy. Why don't we just lay down and go to sleep? Cease your endless prattle and go to sleep, fool. Fighting against the rules of this place is futility itself. NieR and the mayor obediently reclined atop the grassy earth. Have you forgotten, continued Weiss, it is the words that control the death dream, words that allow us to move from place to place. No matter how unnatural they seem, the words are absolute. Therefore, if the words tell us to sleep, then we shall sleep. I think it's so funny that they get encapsulated in the story, but it's just because they have to kind of do it. They don't but they still know that they're doing it and they don't have to do it. It's really funny. And once we do it, the story will continue. With that, the trio found their eyes growing heavy, their breathing slow. This is the first time, began the mayor, the first time I felt tired since I was imprisoned here. His words were cut off by a loud, long yawn, and he remembered nothing more. They might have slept for an hour or a year. When they awoke, things had slightly more real quality to them. The mist felt thicker, the leaves greener, and it was clear that they had been awakened from their dream. NieR shook the mayor's shoulder gently. Good news, he said. I think we made it. Oh wow, said the mayor in an odd voice. We did it. I'm back. He blinked once and then again, as if not quite believing the sight before him. You two have no idea how much this means. The death dream was spreading through our village and I wanted to... Well, I thought I could figure out how to stop it, but I guess that wasn't the case. I must have caught the disease and become trapped in my own dream. The mayor started to stand and then collapsed back to the earth. He stared at his legs as if trying to remember how they worked, then glanced at NieR and shrugged. Without a word, the young man reached down and pulled the mayor to his feet. Real life may take some getting used to, said the mayor as a wry smile crossed his lips. You shall relearn in a short order, I am sure, said Weiss. For now, you should return to your home and rest. No, said the mayor, swaying on unsteady feet. No, I can't. Some of the villagers are still trapped in the death dream and I have to save them. The mayor slowly made his way to the divine tree in the center of the village, then bowed his head and prayed silently. This is a holy tree, he explained. When the prayer was finished, it's the guardian of our village's history and memories. Superstition will only make our mission harder, muttered Weiss. We should not put our faith in the gods. The mayor shook his head. Not the gods, the words. Legend says that our tree is home to powerful magic called a sealed verse. NieR and Weiss could not contain their surprise. It seemed a goal had been found in the most unexpected of places. I say, muttered Weiss, this is certainly a stroke of luck. As the three of them said their goodbyes, NieR mentioned the strange man who had given them the third riddle and the mysterious words he had left them with. I once saw a version of you that was not yourself, muttered the mayor. What in the world does it mean? Lost in thought, he stared into space for a long moment. You know, he said softly, this is going to sound odd, but I had a feeling I'd seen you before, too. NieR tried to keep a straight face and failed, but the mayor didn't seem to notice. Deja vu, right? Anyway, I figure it's just some kind of illusion created by the death dream. It probably doesn't mean anything. NieR gave the mayor a nod and a smile, but inwardly his thoughts were racing. There's something wrong about the mayor and his words. What exactly is going on here? That riddle would prove to be the most difficult one of all.
Oh, thank you so much. Now I can finally return to a normal life.
This is one of the most bizarre diseases I have ever encountered.
I know. That's why we have to help the other villagers, no matter what.
We now have Dark Execution.
For a sealed verse, that didn't take much effort.
Yes, all a touch too easy if you ask me. It's almost as if someone was guiding us to this village.
Don't overthink advice.
So, that was a 20-minute long section to do that. And we have to save the villagers here. That's a lot of reading. It's a very, very interesting level. I think it's really great. And honestly, that's all we need to do to beat this level, I'm pretty sure. We don't have to go any further. But I'm going to do it because I want to get these side stories over with because it's a lot of reading and I want to kind of get all this whole section done at once. So I'm going to just do them now. I think the side quests are a little shorter than the main quest anyway, so hopefully it won't be too bad.
This person must be dreaming too.
It would appear that way, yes.
Enter the villager's dream.
Can't say I'm very excited to go back there. That dream world sort of creeps me out.
Perhaps you should spend less time complaining and more time getting on with the mission.
Yeah.
Alright, here we go. We're going back in the dream. I breathe air scented with death and resist the urge to laugh, for I know it will sound like the words of a madman. How long have I been in this fresh hell? My box, my prison, is tucked beneath a stairway in the long, unused catacombs of some infinite castle. Outside I hear the sounds of a funeral dirge that plays without end. Light has no place here. Wind is a forgotten friend, and I pray for death to come, but he forsakes me. Time passes, and eternity slips by in a single tick of the clock. Someone knocks on my prison. Anyone there? I hear an unfamiliar voice say. My savior! I claw at the door of my jail, jail, embedding thick splinters into under my ragged nails. I scream for help. I laugh. I sob. Surely this is a product of my addled mind. Surely it cannot be true. Help me, I cry. For the love of all the gods, help me. And possibly I hear the sound of a lock being torn out and falling to the floor. As the door slowly creaks open, I have just enough time to see a silver-haired boy and a floating book before light pours inside. My eyes, accustomed to the blackness, explode with pain, and I am forced to turn away. Who are you? I ask, shaking my hands, covering my face. How have you come to this place? I am Grimoire Weiss. This is NieR. Long have we been searching for you. Now come, stand. We shall awaken from this nightmare together. The one known as NieR extends his hand and pulls me from the cell. Though my eyes are slow to adjust to freedom, my ears are keen as ever, and they recognize the staccato. I'm not great with musical terms. Sounds of heavy rain. I never thought to hear that again, I whisper. Would that this were not such a terrible storm. Would that this were not such a terrible storm, said Grimoire Weiss. Look at your feet. I force my eyes open and see water pooling around my ankles and lapping at my shins. There's so much of it. Yes, and more comes each moment we delay. If we do not make good our escape, we shall all drown in this castle. We know you are weak, but you are our only hope to survive in this place. Time that long-forgotten friend made itself known again. I nodded my head and swore to save my rescuers no matter the cost. The Castle Catacombs are a maze, twisting upon themselves like endless entrails of a giant. I squint down in dim corridors and proceed north. At the end of the corridor, I find a row of 20 gorgeous canopied beds resting atop a carpet of velvet. All are covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. Searching for the door to the next room, I come upon a shapeless mass of gray matter. It has been shoved against the side of the wall, and despite my fever, I think I see the outlines of a door just beyond. When I reach out a finger and touch the piece of mass, it turns to dust and drifts away on the wind. Realization slowly dawns, and I fall to my knees and weep. Corpses. I face a mountain of charred and crumbling corpses. I look from it to the beds and back again until the horror dawns full upon me. Someone has piled these bodies into a tower and set them ablaze. Whether they were alive or dead, I do not know, and sanity will not permit me to consider the proposition further. I make a sound, whether scream or laughter, I cannot be certain. Then my mind grants me merciful blackness, and I find myself opening the door and leaving the most terrible of rooms. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed east or south. Do we do east or south? East. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed west or north. North. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed east, south, or west, and north. North again. At the end of the path, the waters rise to my waist, exhausting me both physically and spiritually. I pray that this is the way out. Eventually, I can stand the side of the waters no longer, and so turn my eyes upward. Imagine my surprise when I see a series of paintings hanging on a faded plaster wall. Each depicts a person in the prime of their life. Clad in clothing of the highest quality, the styles, however, are strange to me, leading me to believe that these people had lived long ago. One subject wears an outfit that particularly catches my eye. It is considered of a thin, breezy cloth and decorated with a motif of flowers and birds, while encircling the figure's waist is a leather belt with the most perfect of construction. It is a stunning costume even by modern standards. As I gaze at the portrait, I am struck by a desire to touch it with my own hands. Yet as I extend a single finger towards the painting, I am gripped by the most unpleasant feeling. Staring closely at the image, I see it bend and warp into the shape of another finger. Something behind the picture is pointing at me. Is it another prisoner? A fellow inmate trapped here for eternity in this place? I cannot let it pass, and I seize the portrait with both hands and throw it into the water. The wall is hollow behind the painting, and inside I can make out a body. Whether or not this is a prisoner, there will be no rescue. The poor soul is long dead. Scraps of clothing lie on the floor around the bones. Only a small amount of fabric has survived, but it features the same delicate designs that were depicted in the portrait. I have been admiring a row of corpses, blocked from view by portraits of each victim at their pinnacle. Enough. Shielding my eyes, I paddled something I accidentally skipped. Fuck. I think it was like I paddled forward. I squint down to the dim corridors and proceed south. I squint down to the dim corridors and proceed south again. I squint down to the dim corridors and proceed west. I squint down to the corridors and go south. North. Ugh. The water has risen my chin and now laps greedily at my mouth and nose. You dumb bast, shouts NieR. He surely desires to say more, but the rest of his insult is cut short by the rising water. Grimoire Rice, wet and tattered, floats on the water's surface. It is already too late for him. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. I game overed! Dang. I didn't actually know you could game over in here. That's interesting. Don't tell me. Okay, I don't have to redo that one. I do have to redo that, guys. So we're gonna skip through the dialogue this time.
This can't say. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and skip through this dialogue. Pressing buttons as fast as I can. Proceed north. We went, what was it, east? It was east, north, north again. And we go forward, go south. Let's east. I find myself in a great hall with only the sounds of rain for comfort. The waterlogged red carpet squishes beneath my feet as I approach the center of the room. Once there, I behold a beautiful dining table, upon which rests china and silver of the finest construction, as well as the remains of a fantastic feast. As my eyes continue to adjust, I see many chairs surrounding the table, each holding a dinner guest. Noticing movement, I approach the chair at the table's head, but as the truth of the matter dawns on me, I recoil in horror. The host of the feast is a corpse. As we are all invited guests, an army of the foul, wriggling insects have made their homes in their remains, and this is the movement I saw. This one splendid feast was now nothing more than a requiem for the damned. I take a moment to steady my shaking hands, then slowly back away from the table. Desperate to lose sight of the abomination before me, my gaze lands on the chairs upon which the dead were seated. This is a mistake, for the chairs prove to be even more terrible than the feast itself. Each one is covered in a layer of spikes that run up from the seat up to the back and down the arms. This explains the color of the carpet beneath my feet. I can only pray that the unfortunate diners were dead when the meal began. For if not, it is a simple task to envision the agonized screams that must have sprung forth from their mouths. My mind grasps frantically at the possibility that these souls have committed some terrible crime for which this was punishment, though in truth I suspect they had committed no crime at all. There would be no tomorrow for these unfortunates. This was their last supper. I squint down the dim corridors and go north. Against all hope, we make it to the front door. Break it down, someone cries, and so I give myself to the effort. In tandem with NieR and Grimoire Vice, I slam my body against the thick, sturdy door. On the third try, it gives away, and we found ourselves sprawled out on the ground outside the castle. The storm is in retreat. The clouds above are still dark and foreboding, but to the west, I can see a thin shimmer of sunlight trying to break through. How can I thank you? I cry as tears of joy rain down my cheeks. I would have surely died in there. Looking down, I suddenly notice that my dress is in tatters and sheepishly try to cover my exposed skin. Your dress? Asked Weiss. Then are you a woman, madam? I am. I proffer the two a smile. I suppose that comes as something of a surprise, seeing as how I exist only in the form of words. I can see that the one known as NieR is disappointed that the torn dress will be given no further description, but he hides it well. With a nod and a shrug, the three of us set forth to our awakening. But behind us, an awakening of another kind is taking place. Black smoke fills the abandoned castle, providing the countless damned souls inside with their final shroud. After a moment, the castle's windows shatter with a mighty roar. A fresh breeze blows through the hallways and corridors, clearing the smoke away for good. As we watch in awe, uncountable black shadows slowly flicker to life, crossing to and fro in front of the broken windows. The castle's dead have awakened into their new life as shades.
You have anything to say about that?
Hopefully there will be no labyrinth next time.
I hear that.
So we were able to help her. There is one more to do.
And another victim. This work certainly is trying.
I do need a water though, so 1 second. I'm gonna take a break real quick and grab a water. Alright, we're gonna start this one. Enter the villager's dream.
I figured a book like you would be into all this word stuff, Vice.
Even I have my exceptions. Now let's be off.
A colony of massive... Oh, that music. Oh, we're gonna get to listen to this the whole time. Hell yes. Oh, I love this song so much. Alright, a colony of massive sculptures was visible in the distance, their tall forms scraping against the sky. Weiss and NieR had never seen such a sight, and their eyes widened as they tried to take it in.
Those buildings must be huge if we can see them from this far away. What do you think, Vice?
As Weiss considered his answer, the sun beat down on them with renewed ferocity.
Perhaps they are some manner of mirage.
Under this heat, a mirage or two would hardly be an unexpected sight. NieR nodded and wiped the sweat off his brow, leaving a trail of sand in its place. He thought he'd never been so thirsty. The ancient road on which they walked was black and cracked with age. Here and there, thin wisps of grass pushed up through the rocky surface, as if defying those who had laid this material down over their home. The heat reflecting from the road made NieR lightheaded. His feet hurting, he crouched down to rest. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Is someone playing a joke on us or what? The complaining had already begun. Weiss tried not to let his eyes roll too much. A joke, he said. No joke. This road leads to the city of art. Perhaps the path is simply some manner of grand artistic work. You don't sound very sure of yourself there. Perhaps not, but thinking of it in this way might make it easier for you two to bear. NieR glanced at Weiss's grinning face, shook his head, and resumed walking. As time passed, NieR's feet grew more painful and his throat drier than he had thought possible. He tried not to look further than the next step ahead because the bright sunlight made him hesitant to trust his own senses. We are definitely getting closer, said Weiss in an effort to cheer his companion. Yes, this is much certain. Encouraged, NieR lifted his gaze. Suddenly, he stopped walking, choosing instead to stand in the middle of the road with his mouth and eyes wide open and his finger pointing in the distance. Water, he cried. It's water. Water? Asked Weiss. Preposterous. I don't see any water. Over there, just ahead. Look, the sun is reflecting off of it. Without waiting for a response, NieR sprang to life and bounded toward the site. What in the... There was no water. There was nothing but sand in every direction. NieR closed his eyes and sighed as Weiss floated up behind him and chuckled softly. I believe this is known as a mirage, he said. Many a desert something. Fuck, I skipped it. NieR shook his head, bewildered. Suddenly, he pointed off in the distance, his eyes wide once more. Wait, there it is. I just missed it. Look, it's right there. NieR sprinted off again, leaving Weiss with no choice but to follow. After a few minutes of running, NieR came to a halt. I could have sworn it was right around here. Confused, he put his hands up to his eyes and rubbed them vigorously. As soon as he stopped, he noticed a blue, shimmering pool of clear water just over the next rise. With a shout, he bounded off in search of it. The chase continued for nearly an hour until an exasperated Weiss finally floated up to NieR and struck him in the face with his cover. Enough, you blithering idiot! Stop this at once! There is no water here! NieR's face clouded. There isn't? There is not, and perhaps next time you will listen to me when I tell you as much. Weiss paused for a moment and then continued speaking in a slightly kinder tone. However, I suppose this mad chase was not altogether wasted. It seems we have arrived in the city of art. NieR looked up, stretched out before him in a row of impossibly tall sculptures. Their journey was at an end. They're huge, cried NieR, completely forgetting the heat and the pain of the past few hours. I've never seen anything so big. Each sculpture was formed from roughly the same shape, a tall rectangle that stretched up towards the sky, but that is where the similarities ended. Most were covered with panes of glass that reflected light in 1,000 directions, while others seemed to be nothing but frames of steel. Some had tall spires on their tops, while others possessed triangular caps. What kind of city is this, said NieR. Where are the people? Where are the houses? Perhaps the land is intended exclusively for artistic use. The debate continued as they made their way through the city. Miracles of artistry were everywhere. Great iron crates with wheels sat silent on steel rails. Beautifully carved works of lights and of red, amber, and green dangled over every street. As they moved away from the massive sculptures, they found a great array of smaller ones. Some were covered in glass or brick, but many were composed of materials they had never before encountered. The sheer variety of colors and style was staggering. Unable to find a theme or purpose to the abstract works around them, NieR and Weiss eventually fell silent. On the outskirts of the city, they discovered 3 sculptures in the shape of humans. NieR uttered a sigh of relief as he approached them. Finally, I was getting tired of modern art. The 3 statues were indistinguishable except for the single word chiseled into their right arms. One read Alpha, one read Beta, and the final one read Gamma. As NieR moved to touch the nearest statue, a bird flew from the top of one of the sculptures. Alighting on the statue's shoulder, it emitted a brief, beautiful song that took the form of words. Only one form is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false ones will only speak lies. So we need to remember these things. Only one form is real, the others are false. The real one will always speak the truth. The false one will only speak lies. With that, the bird departed. As if on cue, the 3 statues shuddered to life, acquiring color as they began to breathe. Hey, look at that, said NieR. They're alive. The triplets bowed low before NieR. Please, said Alpha, you have to get me out of this nightmare. I am real. Stop lying, said Beta. He turned to NieR and threw his hands in the air. Alpha's a fake. You know, I'm the real one. What a load of crap, said Gamma. Beta is a fake. Everyone knows I'm the real one around here. Their respective pleas given, the 3 statues returned to their frozen state as silence once again enveloped the city. When you consider all the statements, only one of them could be a real thing, said Weiss. NieR furrowed his eyebrows and considered his answer. Only one form is real, the others are false. The real one will always speak the truth, and the false ones will only speak lies. The real one is... let's see. So... Alpha said he was real first. Go with Alpha. The eyes of statues shone with an eerie light. The light grew stronger and stronger until NieR were forced to turn away. It looks like we failed.
Yeah.
We'd best act more carefully next time.
Alright, we'll just go ahead and go right to it. This one's a little easier because I can just kind of skip through all the text. I wanted to kind of see again what they said, but unfortunately, they don't tell you again what they said. Okay, I'm going to stop there again. Let's see. Please, said Alpha, you have to get me out of there, out of this nightmare. I am real. Stop lying, said Beta. He turned to NieR and threw his hands in the air. Alpha's a fake, you know. I'm the real one. What a load of crap, said Gamma. Beta's a fake. Everyone knows I'm the only real one around here. So if Alpha was a fake, which is what Beta said, that would mean that he is telling the truth, and the only other ones will lie, right? So Gamma says Beta's a fake. Everyone knows I'm the only real one around here. I'm gonna guess Beta. Because Beta said that Alpha's a fake, which isn't wrong. That's not a lie. Because we know Alpha's a fake. The real one is Beta. Though NieR's voice betrayed a notable lack of confidence, he was relieved to see Weiss nodding at him. If Alpha were telling the truth, began Weiss in the dry tones of a lecturer, Beta and Gamma would be fakes. But in that case, Gamma's claim that Beta is a fake would be the truth, even though Gamma is a liar, therefore the theory crumbles. Now let us presume that Gamma spoke for the truth. That makes Alpha and Beta liars in this situation. However, Beta is calling Alpha a liar, which would leave us the two statues telling the truth. Finally, let us assume that Beta is telling the truth. If so, Alpha and Gamma's lies would make sense, therefore Beta must be real. As Weiss finished his explanation, Alpha and Gamma crumbled soundlessly into dust, while Beta sprang to life once more. "Congratulations, villager," said Weiss in a cheerful voice. "The time to awaken has arrived." "Thank you for saving me," cried the villager. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head as low as it could go before an uncomfortable NieR pulled him to his feet. "Why did you have a dream like this?" asked Weiss. Have you been to the city before?" The villager slowly looked around at the bizarre objects and sculptures that dotted the landscape, then shook his head. I don't think so. I mean, it's impossible, right? There's no way I could have ever been to a place like this. But at the same time, I feel like I've seen it before." "Deja vu," muttered NieR, just like the mayor. The vague sense of unease that struck NieR during the mayor's dream spread once more through his mind.
That was rough.
I am positive I have seen that place before.
At least that one wasn't super long. That one was actually really quick.
Okay, that's enough. Don't need you getting all weird on me too. Okay, there. Now all the villagers can wake up, right?
Yes, if the mayor's assumption was correct.
Hold on.
I think I have had enough wordplay to last a lifetime. Thank you very much.
You're telling me. Anyway, let's go see the mayor.
You guys ready for this? I know what happens here.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you so much. Here, I have something for you.
One-hand sword faith!
Wow, this looks valuable. I can really have it?
Of course. It's apparently a weapon of some renown, but we have little use for it.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you again for everything.
We did it! We did it, we got a sword, so we woke up all the villagers. There is no other villager at this time. We have everything. Let's break this box. Get that. Oh, we're full on those. So we did it. Oh, we beat the reading section. Whew. It's a really cool section. Like, you'd never... What game has anything like that? Let's be real. Like, it's such an interesting section because it's so... I'm sure most of the writing went into that. Like, that's a large portion of text to just have all at once. 50 minutes of reading. They wrote a ton of text for that. And then they had to write it in a way where they understood that they were in a book, basically.
So how was the village?
Oh, it was truly magnificent. There are no words. Really.
Neat.
Let's get back to Popola. She'll probably want to know what's going on in there.
Yep, we'll go to Popola. That was cool. So what did you think of that section? I love that section of the game. I think it's really interesting. It's a very large amount of reading. Like, you gotta be prepared to read a book when you play that part of the game. NieR came back. He came home to see me. Yay! I think I already read that one. Okay, so back to Popola. Get to tell her about Dreamland. And not the barbecue place.
The death dream certainly is a strange illness.
Yeah, it was something all right.
Even I, with my natural love for words, have no desire to visit that place ever again.
My natural love for words, because he's a book.
You guys did well. You've been making a lot of long trips lately. Are you sure you're not pushing yourself too hard?
I'm okay. I can't just sit around all day while Yonah's sick after all.
If you say so.
So, anything I can do for you?
Well, I suppose there is one thing I could use a hand with. Have you heard about our plans to repair the canal? The work probably won't happen for a while, but once it's done, we can use the canal for trade and travel and all kinds of useful things. Unfortunately, however, we're a bit behind schedule at the moment. If you're willing to help out, I'd really appreciate it.
No problem. What do you need?
Great. So, the man I originally asked to help on this project hasn't shown up for work in a few days. I'm starting to get a little worried. So, maybe you can head over to Seafront and check up on him? I'll mark the location of his house on your map. He always carries a red bag over his shoulder, so he should be easy enough to find.
Got it.
Cool. So now we have to go back to Seafront to basically kind of just continue that story, because we never fully finished that story. But we're gonna save here and end it off there, because that was a long episode of just reading.
A canal, is it? Fascinating. If we had a ferry, we could put these days of endlessly running about behind us.
Don't you just float everywhere anyway?
Do you think I am borne aloft by the winds, lad? It takes stamina to maintain this height.
Oh, really?
You could at least try to hide the utter dismay, you know.
Alright, so there we go. Save the game. That'll be good for another night.